Hello, everyone. Wait, was that Brooke that just joined me? Sorry, I just hopped on this call. Brooke, I went to Western Albemarle High School, class of
That's
2009.
crazy. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
But as you'll see from my whole talk, none of my high school teachers remember me because I was like a really average student. But we're going to get into all of that. Um, okay, so hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good wherever you are in the world. Thanks so much for joining me, and congratulations to all the PGC finalists. I took a look at some of you guys' work. It's so mind-blowing. I'm so moved that you guys you are the ones leading the movement. So it's really honored to be here with all of you. I know it's been a long Zoom day, and we probably all have Zoom fatigue just in general. So I'm just gonna do a little quick 3 breath meditation. You guys might have done an exercise, a gratitude exercise before this morning, but it's always good to just like sink into our bodies. I just drove for 8 hours from Virginia to Nashville, so I definitely need the 3 breath meditation. So indulge me. So wherever you are, sitting wherever you are, just like get comfortable and try to straighten your back and plant your feet on the ground. So you're really centered to the ground. Plant your feet on the ground and close your eyes here and have your palms facing down if you want to feel more grounded, or if you're feeling like you need a little bit more energy, have your palms facing up to receive the energy. Okay. And you have your eyes closed here, and we're going to start here by breathing in for 3 counts. 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath here and breathe out for 6 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take another deep breath in through your nose for 2 counts. 1, 2. Hold it up here and breathe it out through your mouth for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last deep breath in through our nose for 1, 2, 3, 4 counts. Hold it here. And I want you guys to let it out with this big audible sigh, like you're like, ah, for 8 counts. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whew. Okay, I hope that got us into our just our bodies. Josie, I'm sorry your feet doesn't reach the ground. That's exactly how I feel. My feet doesn't even reach the ground when like I'm on the couch. So I feel ya. Okay. So again, my name is Sophia. I'm not gonna talk about my career journey, but I'm gonna talk about 3 really big failures in my life that brought me to my career journey. And I'm gonna talk about how we all fail upwards, not backwards. So the first failure story, is about how our weaknesses can be our greatest strength. So, and even can be our superpower. So I was born in Minneapolis, Minnesota. When I was 2 years old, I lived with my grandparents in China as my parents were finishing their PhD programs and were also financially strapped, raising my older sister. So I moved to China when I was 2 years old, and right before I was 4, I moved back to Minnesota with my parents. When I was 7, we moved to Memphis, Tennessee. San Antonio, Texas was home for 3 years during middle school before moving to Charlottesville, Virginia. Shout out Western for high school. So I had a really late start learning English and was enrolled into school right after moving to the States from China as a 4-year-old. And my mom was teaching me my ABCs as a 4.5-year-old, which is quite late. I was always dubbed the new kid at school, and for years and years would receive a doesn't live up to potential mark on my average grade report cards. So here's the thing about failure. Failure doesn't have to be a specific event or a moment in time. It could be an ongoing narrative in your head. If enough people call you a failure growing up, you can start believing in it. What I started to learn in college in a fresh environment in art school where standardized testing was thrown out of the window, my weaknesses became my biggest strengths, and now today have become my superpower. I tell stories for a living now. I interview names from Pharrell Williams to Celine Dion to Nobel Peace Prize recipients for their climate action. I listen intently and engage with my interviewers because when I first started school in the US, I had trouble communicating in English, so I just had to listen. Because I was always the new kid at school, I understand the social nuances as an adult to make someone feel at ease off the bat and turn strangers into friends. And I stopped listening to what others had to say about me, such as doesn't live up to potential, and started just to listen to myself. The strongest thing you can rely on is your own belief system. The belief that you are talented, capable, and the belief that your weaknesses can be your strengths and even your superpower. So, my second failure story is how passion will never be reached the first or second or third or fourth, so on. So, everyone who knows me solely through the lens of social media thinks my career trajectory has been one smooth ride. So, I get a lot of DMs from recent high school and college grads asking me what my exact path to so they can follow in my footsteps. They literally DM me and be like, "Can you tell me exactly what you did when you moved to New York? And that's the trajectory I want to take." So I tell them if they truly want to follow my footsteps, here's what they should do. Move to New York 2 months after graduation on an internship whim, sleep in a triple bunk bed with six other people in the same room for a few months as you find an apartment, go to your internship from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then your restaurant job from 6:30 p.m. to 2 a.m., 5 days a week. Quit the internship, determined to find a paying job, interview and get rejected 3 times from your dream magazine company, interview another 7 more times, get hired on as a part-time freelancer, become full-time a year later after working consecutive 80-hour weeks, quit the dream job after almost 4 years without another job or health insurance lined up, keep fighting for your passion, and well, that's how I got to where I was. So, what people don't see on social media is how many rejections and failures I had before even landing a temporary freelance position at Vogue, and that eventually turned into the start of my career. So they say the hardest job is to get. They said the hardest job to get is always your first job. That's definitely true. They also say do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. That's not true. It's actually more like do what you love and you'll work harder than you ever had to work before because you love it so much. And then sometimes people reply to my long-winded answers on DMs about my exact path and how they should take it. And they're like, yeah, actually, like maybe I'll take my own path. And I'm like, yes, of course. Take your own path. That's like the whole point. Um, when it comes to your passion, there's no one right path, and there's definitely not an easy route. Sure, we want to all be at the end of the finish line, or we all want to be that speaker at the podium reflecting about their accomplishments, but do we want to put in the hours of dedication of hard work and sacrifice to get there? Truly ask yourself that. And if you are willing to sacrifice it, remember this. It's always easier to sacrifice at the beginning than at the end. You don't have as much to lose when you first start the career journey. So risk it all for what you truly believe in. I remember in college, my friends in pre-med and my younger sister is in med school now, they would tell me that the program would purposely schedule the hardest biology classes at 7 a.m. in the morning to weed out anyone who's not serious about the program. You failing the first and second and third time in life, but still having perseverance is the universe's way of weeding out those who are not serious about pursuing their passions. So also always remember that when you fail, you only fail upwards, never backwards, and keep fighting as you'll never reach your passion the first, second, or third time. And there's no right path to take except your own. Okay, so my third story about failure is following the fear. Dun dun dun. Um, I feel like fear is like kind of a trigger word or a buzzword, but let's talk about it. Okay, so I understand that everyone here is probably in their teens and 20s, and this time in your life might seem really exciting, but really scary. So it's funny how, for the first 20 years of our lives, society has dictated almost every step we take in our lives so we could be quote unquote functioning, successful adults. You go to elementary school, you go to middle school, then you go to high school, you major in something you remotely are interested in college, and then you get a good job, and voila, it's like you've made it, financial security, right? Except this linear model may have been the case for our parents' generation, but this no longer exists. This model is totally disrupted. You'll see after you graduate, the lives of your classmates and the lives of everyone in this Zoom chat will explode in a million different directions. Um, some will get married and pop out children before you even get your first job. That's literally true. Like, I had friends who popped out children and got married before I got my first job. And that's okay. Everyone says to follow your passion, but I have come to learn to follow the fear. It was the May of 2017. I was still the entertainment media editor at Vogue, and I had flown straight from the Met Gala. And then from the Met Gala, I flew directly to Stockholm, Sweden. I changed out of my gown in the airport. And then I flew back to New York and immediately to LA. From LA, I flew to Kyoto and then Tokyo back to New York. So this was all for work. I was on my 8th flight at the end of a very long month, and I was finally flying to my sister's wedding where I was the maid of honor and ready to disconnect from work. As we were taking off from the plane in Newark Airport to San Francisco, the right engine of the plane caught on fire. The alarms went off and the slides of the planes were deployed, and we started to smell smoke. We slid down the chutes, and then ran to safety in case the fire caused the plane to explode. We weren't supposed to take any valuables with us, but the only thing I rescued was my maid of honor speech. I was interviewed for Good Morning America, and major press outlets like CNN covered this plane explosion. Well, it didn't end up exploding, thank God. So a few days later, I realized that I wasn't scared of dying in the moment, although that was probably the closest I've ever been to quote unquote death. I was more terrified that I would miss out on my sister's wedding. And I was scared of this thought that I had kept pushing down and swallowing, refusing to acknowledge. But what would happen if you left Vogue? Sometimes, because we fought so hard to reach the first dream, we don't allow ourselves to move on to the second dream or the third dream that life has planned for us. Dreams expire, and oftentimes the dreams that are waiting for us is actually masked in fear. I was too scared to admit to myself that I wanted to pursue a career outside of the security and prestige of Vogue and in the environmental space, which at that point was not cool. It's always been cool, let's be real, actually. So I knew I had wanted to leave for a while, but was too scared to leap until I physically had to leap onto a slide of a plane that was on fire. If you don't jump in life, the universe will somehow make you jump either way. The thing is, we're not scared of death. We are not scared. We are scared of not experiencing everything we wanted to do and accomplish in this life. I read this quote that summed up my definition of fear spot on. Someone once told me the definition of hell: the last day you have on earth, the person you became will meet the person you could have become. So I'm going to wrap up this little failure speech by asking everyone to close their eyes again. So once I see everyone has their eyes closed, I want you to again breathe in through your nose and out of your mouth. And I want you to silently to yourself list out everyone you love in no particular order. Just list out everyone you love in your head. Okay, you can open your eyes. And I want to ask, did anyone list themselves as loving themselves? And if you did, please write in the chat because I want to know. Anyone? Raise your hand if you listed yourself as loving yourself. Come on, guys. Let's talk about self-love, right? So everyone says my generation and the next, I'm a millennial and the Gen Z, that we're selfish and entitled. I actually think the complete opposite. I think we care almost too much for this world and the society we are entering. Look at each and every single one of you and the incredible youth leading the climate movement. You guys, especially. Self-love isn't selfish. Self-love is 100% just necessary and fundamental. I believe radical self-love will be the solution to so many of our modern day problems. Loneliness, climate change. When we have respect and love for ourselves, we have respect and love for Mother Nature. Marginalized communities, when we see ourselves as wholly human, we can recognize that in anyone, even if they're halfway across the world or in our backyards. And now, because I watch every airplane safety video super intensely. Remember that we have to put that oxygen mask on ourselves before we help others. So validation will never come from a job title, a paycheck, or how many followers you have on social media. True validation has to come from within, and true love, self-love has to start from within as well. So I leave you with, remember that your weakness can be your greatest strength and even your superpower. Passion will never come the first, second, or third time. And to follow your fears, congratulations again to all the PGC finalists.